reporting live from the Phil Oil Eco Center in the San Juan City. This is Denise Valdez-Sanchez as we welcome, well, first, the team to set the standard, the team to chase the Criss Cross King Crunchers on a 10-win streak. No losses, or will there be? Because the Savouge Spin Doctors are back with reimagined power. Both teams refreshed, both teams renewed, both on a clean slate as we all wonder who will set the tone. Find out only here where power meets passion, the Spikers Turf.
It is the semifinals here at the place where volleyball has been the center of our storylines. This is the Phil Oil Center in San Juan, where the King Crunchers and the very excited and very passionate Savouge Spin Doctors will be facing off in the second semifinals match of your Spikers Turf 2026 Open Conference. It is the Criss Cross King Crunchers going up against the Savouge Spin Doctors, and it is the second game and second match of your semifinals. Thank you for joining us wherever you may be. May that be on the Pilipinas Live app or on One Sports Plus. Sinjin Reyes together with Neil Flores. Neil, I'm so happy to be with you, and it's been a full-packed day of volleyball for us.
From 6 teams, you're down to the last 4 teams here in the Spikers Turf. Every game counts. Only the top 2 teams will proceed to the gold medal match. So, gusto talaga makabawi ng Savouge because Criss Cross had their number in the double round robin preliminary round. This is our tournament format. For the semis, it is also going to be a round robin where the top 2 teams enter the championship series, and the ranked number 3 and ranked number 4 teams will enter the battle for third. Pagdating naman natin sa finals and battle for third, it will all be in a best of 3 series.
And this is the third time that these two squads will be meeting and facing off with each other. But we have to look back first at the story of the preliminaries. How did the Criss Cross King Crunchers reach to this point? They're the most dominant team here in the league, and their dominance is shown not just in their performance in the games, but also in the skill rankings.
As a team, you will see a lot of ones across the board for the King Crunchers. They're number 1 in attacking, blocking, setting, and receiving. Number 2 in digging, and number 3 in serving. That's primarily the reason why they're still spotless after the double round robin preliminary format. 10-0 entering the semifinals. They had the numbers of their opponents in the double round robin, so they're hoping to really go all the way this conference to claim that crown
and replicate that performance and defeat these teams for the third time around. Now let's focus in on with one King Cruncher who has been standing out in this conference so far, and that's none other than Alche Gupiteo. He has been the surprise for the King Crunchers, a new recruit who has been giving a new perspective for Criss Cross.
Criss Cross already had a stacked lineup entering this conference, but they continuously sign up strong players to boost their campaigns. Alche Gupiteo was part of the UST program. We saw him in action in beach volleyball, only played 1 season, I think, in the UAAP for indoor, but he immediately made his impact in the Spikers Turf, tallying 126 points. And hindi lang yan, meron pa siyang 60% efficiency as an outside hitter. Those are the 2 most important skill sets if you want to perform at a high level.
Almost 1 of 2 attacks, pasok, almost more than half of the balls that he receives, kuhang-kuha at good reception. So that is good numbers for Alche Gupiteo. Now, speaking of Alche Gupiteo, they have been spotless in that elimination round. How does it feel entering and facing a squad for the third time? Let's ask Alche himself.
Parang tinitreat po kasi nila ako as a family, not other one na bago ka lang, ay wala, okay lang to. Pero sa kanila po kasi pag bago ka, parang nina-welcome ka talaga. So yun ang factor bakit kami may communication talaga. Kumbaga sabi ni Coach kung ano daw yung tinitraining mo, madadala mo daw talaga. And actually, factor din po yung saying ni Coach Tay na always na happy-happy. Sabi ni Coach Tay, always 100% para yung prelims namin, madala namin to finals and for semifinals. So, kumbaga, bigyan nyo ng lahat.
Alche has been with the Criss Cross King Crunchers for a short while, but it is clear and evident na pwede na siyang interpreter ni Coach Tay, ha? Kasi ang dami niya na-interpret na sinabi ni Coach Tay agad.
And I like the fact that he said na family talaga yung touring sa teams ng Rebesco. That's why he felt at home immediately pag sali niya dito sa Criss Cross.
This is very evident to all the Rebesco teams, whether in the PVL or here in the Spikers turf. Now let's head on to the other side of the court and discuss our Savouge Spin Doctors. They have had a very interesting conference. They only lost to the King Crunchers, and it is now a fresh spin for the Spin Doctors. They're trying to enter and possibly enter the finals.
They were in second place after the double round preliminary round robin, and ang ganda rin ng skill categories in terms of ranking for Savouge. They're number 2 in attacking, blocking, setting, and receiving. Their best suit is in serving. They're number 1 after the double round. So I think that this is really going to be a good matchup. People have been calling this match as a finals preview in the 2 rounds that we watched. Criss Cross versus Savouge. Ang ganda nung games, ang daming dikit na sets. So Savouge really wants to get their win the third try.
And we're up for a good match, definitely. But we have to focus on one key Spin Doctor, and that's none other than JP Bugawan. He has been performing spectacularly for the Spin Doctors. The middle blocker has tallied a total of 95 points, Neil.
Well, he is a 4-time best middle blocker in the Spikers turf. So he is really used to high-pressure games. And in the semifinals, there will always be high pressure dahil ang dami pa nilang haharapin before they enter the gold medal match. So they really want to start on a high note. By finally getting a win against Criss Cross, it won't be easy. But if JP Bugawan plays at a really high level, anything is possible for Savouge.
That experience will be very important for JP Bugawan, and especially for the Spin Doctors in this match. Now, speaking of JP Bugawan, we asked JP, what is the mindset entering into a match where you're facing the only team that defeated you in the preliminaries? JP answers it here.
Semifinals na to, so hindi pwedeng mag-chill. So kailangan all out pagdating sa training papunta dito sa game. And also the system, we change a bit para sa mga next naming kalaban dito sa semifinals. And also yun nga, bago ako sa team, tinutulungan na ako ng mga senior players and also the coaches na makapag-adapt agad dito sa team. Una-una talaga is the commitment. So, every game talaga, one game at a time, kung ano yung kalaban namin, doon kami mag-focus at ibibigay yung 101%.
And 101% is definitely what we will be expecting from JP Bugawan and the rest of the Spin Doctors. Now, 101% din ang expectation natin to our fans out there who can join us online by using the hashtag SpikersTurf2026. And don't forget to also interact through our Pilipinas Live app. Now, it's time to turn it over to Coach Mac Gapuela to start this game up.
A pleasant evening to one and all. Welcome to the open conference of the Spikers Turf, where power meets passion. We are now in day 1 of the semifinals, a round-robin series to determine ranking for the final round. For match number 32, our contenders are our Criss Cross King Crunchers and their challengers, our Savouge Spin Doctors. Presenting our national officials for this match. First referee, Mr. Bobby Celso. Second referee, Mr. Fernando Velarde. Let's call on our starting lineup from our Criss Cross King Crunchers. Let's begin with their team captain and setter. He wears jersey number 9, Adrian Villados. At number 5, Jude Garcia. Wearing jersey number 19, Noel Michael Campton. At number 20, Lloyd Josaphat. Number 24 is Edlin Paul Colinares. And number 25, Alche Gupiteo. Starting libero is number 18, John Philip Pepito. Head coach, Mr. Anusorn, Coach Tai Bondit. Presenting our Savouge Spin Doctors. Let's begin with jersey number 4, Gilles Jeffer Torres. At number 6, Mark Frederick Calado. Wearing jersey number 13, Michael Vince Imperial. At number 21, Louis Ramirez. Wearing jersey number 22, Oven de la Vega. And number 25, John Paul Bugawan. Starting libero is number 5, Rico Marius Marmeto. Head coach, Ms. Sydney Calderon. This is match number 32, day 1 of the semifinals. The open conference of the Spikers Turf, where power meets passion.
There we have our starters. Criss Cross, bringing in usual suspects for them. Garcia, of course, leading the charge, together with Colinares. Captain also there. Meanwhile, Savouge, seeing familiar names, but addition from a difference from their last game is the injection of Ramirez. The kickoff, another exciting match here in the place where power meets passion. As things will start off hot. This is, as Neil mentioned earlier, this has been expected to somewhat be and might be a finals preview. But of course, things vary when you're in the semifinals. So let's see, Calado with a first hit. Gupiteo. Ramirez from the left, that's overcooked. That's going to be a point for Criss Cross.
Savouge only lost twice in the double round preliminaries against Criss Cross. Yes, they were spotless, also won against all of the other teams.
And on the other hand, that is the spotless team wearing white today. And right now, they're even spotless as they're not doing anything, but they're scoring.
2 unforced errors committed by Savouge at the start of the first set. We'll see Joven de la Vega now in the starting unit for Coach Sydney, one of the new pickups in the off-season to boost their lineup.
Ramirez going cross-court this time. It works. He gets a touch. It's 2-1. It's a 1-point game. Serve now is coming from Ramirez. Oh, Garcia just showing us a lot of athleticism.
But Diones was there. He was able to absorb the power in the hip, pero nasobran lahat ng power talaga na-absorb kaya hindi umangat yung bola.
And you would see the reaction of the libero. Gupiteo with that serve. A back quick works for Savouge.
Player-to-player matchup, head-to-head combat. I think that Savouge, he has the tools to go all the way this season. They want to get over that hum-hum.
Yeah.
Dahil Criss Cross na lang ang hindi nila natatalo this conference.
And why not get one at the best time to get it, which is the semifinals. Campton will try. Campton finds a corner.
On the deep end. of Zone 5. First point for Noel Campton.
Serve now will be coming from Paul Colinares. Goes for the floater. Picked up there. Savouge going to Bugawan. Getting that off the block against his former teammate, Jude Garcia.
Imperial has been giving sets to the middles first here.
Joven de la Vega now for the blue shirts. Villados going to the open, and that works for Noel Campton.
Yan ang pagkakaiba ngayon. For Savouge, it has been the middles who have been active so far. For Criss Cross naman, it's the outside hitters.
And there's a lot of expectation because the middles of Criss Cross are also very deadly.
But Josaphat is back in the starting unit after sustaining that injury.
Back row play for Joven de la Vega.
A big mistake for Criss Cross. No blockers there for Joven de la Vega. Beautiful reverse set there from Imperial. Sometimes the setters would actually ask the receivers to pass that ball near the left pin.
So that they could do that back
Yeah,
set.
they can go to reverse setting.
Campton off the blockers. That works for Noel. And the King Crunchers are up by 2.
Bilis ng side out for both teams. You haven't seen long rallies pa.
Not yet. Mukhang nag-aamuyan pa, nagkakapaan pa. Campton serving now for the white shirts. They put this one up to De La Vega. De La Vega asking that to be in, but that is going to sail out. It's a 3-point lead by Criss Cross, and one of the all-star coaches will call time.
Maganda. Ang anuin na lang natin, let's play smart. May receive tayo, may follow tayo. Yung plan natin nag-work. Kailangan lang natin talaga tiyagain. Hindi ko na hinintay yung technical timeout. Gusto ko masolusyonan na yan kayong kagad. Ha? Let's go! Hey, one team!
Hindi, kalahati nung makukuha mo. Kunyari, 10,000, 55,000.
Coach Sydney looking for a result or resolution for what has been happening inside the court. Sinabi niya, hindi na nga niya hinintay yung technical timeout. So she wants quick actions right now. Campton to serve. That's out. Good timeout for Coach Sydney that iced things out for Criss Cross. It's a 2-point game. Bugawan will now serve for Savouge. Pick up there by Campton. They go up to that slide attack by Josefat. On the other side, Ramirez going cross court. Pepito was there. Gupiteo is denied there by the block of Torres.
Savouge saw it coming. They were able to establish a solid two-man wall against Alche Gupiteo. Dahil out of system na nga, na-eliminate na si Lloyd Sapat dun sa counter-attack nila. Didn't even go for an approach. So it was easy for Savouge to read that set from Villados.
Meanwhile, Gupiteo, oh, now it's one-on-one. Imperial seems like he has been overloading on some blocking drills.
Two kill blocks for Savouge. Read that well. Went for that wave towards that line.
Tied at 7. Bugawan with that serve. Villados going up to Gupiteo. Cross court, that works this time. And that brings us to our first technical timeout. We're back after this quick break.
Welcome back to the 2026 Spiker Surf Open Conference, this semi-finals. Sinjin, Neil, talk about that quick action Coach Cindy Calderon was asking. And it all stems to a week-long Holy Week break of the Savouge Spin Doctors. At isa raw talaga yung pinagdasal nila as a single unit. Yun yung makapasok nila sila finally sa championship ngayong conference. That's according to head coach or to assistant coach Michael Carino. Even the short break didn't stop these men from continuously improving. Papasok sila as completely different persons. They went straight to training after their last match. Active rest daw tapos onting balik court na. They had to push themselves beyond their limits, and as they enter this match, ito raw ang point of reflection nila. How hungry are we to win today, while at the same time, we are also allowing ourselves to be grounded and not get intimidated? Because at this point, there's no more room for okay lang. Back to Sydney.
Thank you so much, Denise. It is very interesting that Coach Sydney's system is very reflective. It's very refreshing also. Meanwhile, on the other side, Coach Tai is very meditative. So, a very interesting disparity between our two coaches, who also happen to be our all-star coaches for the Spikers Turf All-Star and the Volleyball All-Star Showcase happening on May 1 in Candon City.
You have to cast your votes and vote for your favorite volleyball players para makita nyo rin sila. Balita ko may mga interactions na mangyayari. We were able to talk to Commissioner Sherwin Malonzo, so it is going to be exciting lalo na sa mga makakanood live.
Especially if you want to see more of Paul Colinares doing that, vote for Paul Colinares.
Only voting.
Only voting, yes. They go up with an answer here on the other side coming from Giles Torres.
I like the setting style of Imperial. He's trying to establish the speed in their first attack.
Yeah.
They've been so successful in converting these quick attacks into points.
He's also been controlling the tempo and holding down the tempo for their side of the court. That serve coming from Ramirez. Set up going to Gupiteo. This time Lumusot. That is going to be a point for the King Crunchers.
Three-man block set up by Savouge. Wasn't enough to stop Alche Gupiteo. Found that gap between Calado and Torres.
That was a pretty wide seam.
Kaya yung triple block, pag yung last blocker ang a-assist, he has to make sure na walang masyadong distance between him and yung katabi niya.
But this time, unfazed, unmatched. But that goes out for Noel Campton. Becomes a one-point game. Giles Torres continues to serve. Villados set up, going to Campton. That's off the block. That's going to be a point for the King Crunchers. Back to a two-point game. Over-received. They go up to Noel. On the other side, Ramirez from the back at Shanks, and that's going to be a point for Savouge.
Criss Cross gave up an easy ball to Savouge. That's a big no-no. Lalo na't pag umaatake si Ramirez from the back row.
Serve now. That is going to sail out. It's going to be a free point for Criss Cross from that Joven serve. Jude Garcia will now serve for the white and orange squad. Over-received. Pinalusot ni Imperial.
It's also one of the advantages of having Imperial in that starting unit. He's very aggressive. Yes, he's not the tallest of setters, but he can also attack off the 1-2 plays and off the tight passes of the Spin Doctors.
He's not the tallest, but boy, that vertical is very high. Just like Jude Garcia with that high vertical. From the back row, that is going to be a point for De La Vega.
That is out though. Sayang because he was able to deliver a perfect dig. That ball
would have
did
been
not catch the line.
It would have been a great sequence for Jovin. Noel with that serve. They lead by 2. Ramirez cross court, pop up by Gupiteo. That is going far and away.
Out of reach for the King Crunchers. Look at that sharp cross-court angle. Galing kay Louie Ramirez targeting the defense of Alche Gupiteo.
Really challenging Alche with that one. That serve coming from Bugawan. They go up to a quick. That works for Lloyd Josefat.
Gonna be the first point, I believe, for Lloyd Josefat.
2-point lead for Criss Cross. Imperial going to the back. Calado showing his athleticism. Look at that.
They've been utilizing the back row attackers in the first set. Pinapakagat lang sa harapan yung middle blockers. Mas umatake si Calado and Louie Ramirez sa likod.
What a save from Imperial. Oh! Solid exchanges there. Imperial, sinungkit. Chance for Criss Cross. Villados on that dump. Read well by Ramirez. Villados setting this one up to Gupiteo. Did he get a touch? No touch. This time, no touch, says the referee.
There were a lot of ball control issues on both sides of the court in that last rally. A lot of tight passes to the centers of each team. Tried their best to keep it in play. Yung ibang bola na dikit, sinusubukan nilang i-dump.
Pero may nakablock eh. Bantay na bantay. You just know the familiarity is really there already. Oh! The perfect word to describe that was described by the coaching staff of Savouge. Hule. They caught that one and they bring themselves to the second technical timeout. We'll be back here at the Spikers turf.
Favorite food, adobo. Patong tres. Closest teammate. Ngayon si Kuya JP. Loudest teammate, si Loisa. French fries. Focus.
Mark Calado, who comes out of the FEU program. And of course, speaking of FEU, the UAAP Season 88 Volleyball is in full swing. Watch the games every Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday on the Pilipinas Live app. Also available on the UAAP Varsity channel and on One Sports, because legends start here. Back to the ball game, 1-point game. Savouge now leads as Imperial serves. That doesn't cross. That's going to be a point for Criss Cross.
Ito lang yung mga kailangan ingatan ng Savouge, lalo na pagdikit yung score, those free points given to Criss Cross.
Tied at 16. Villados with the serve. Pick up there by Ramirez. Imperial going to the back. Calado showing that broad jump skills. Gupiteo is denied once again. Just wow. Jill Stoyes, look at that again.
Again, no entry for Alche Gupiteo. Defense has been solid against him, so Villados has to try to give opportunities to the other attackers of Criss Cross. We haven't seen a lot of sets papunta kay Jude Garcia.
Not as much as we usually see, but there, the adjustment is there. Colinares tallying a point, tying things at 17. The check to serve. Picked up by Mark. They go up to the back row. Louis Ramirez asking for a check. They're going to challenge this. Coach Sydney looks at her coaching bench and they're challenging this for block touch.
Point is given to the Spin Doctors. So they will hold on to a 1-point lead.
Serve coming from Jills. They go up to Garcia, who is denied by JP Bugawan.
If you want to go for a combination play, kailangan well-established yung presence ng middle. But in that instance, nobody even flinched. They just watched and marked Jude Garcia on the combination play.
And speaking of flinching, Coach Tai will flinch first. Let's listen to his timeout.
Go lang, go lang.
Good pass, good pass, good pass. Box kick, yeah.
Let's go.
Let's go. Guys, masyado lang tayo stiff kasi gusto natin baon. Hey, hey, back low defend here, back low. Ha? Back row.
Back row,
Quick back row yung nagawa sa atin eh.
Combination.
Defend here, ha?
Back row yung ano nila.
Go lang, go lang, go lang.
Wala, kaya natin yan. Let's go, let's go.
Criss Cross! Criss Cross!
Smile kayo!
The biggest missing piece for Criss Cross would be their touches sa harapan. Defensively, right now, Savouge already has 5 kill blocks. And like we always say, that's the parameter of Criss Cross kung maganda yung nilalaro nila. They usually outblock their opponents in every single set with an average of 6 kill blocks. But right now, wala pa eh.
They're still looking for that moment. So there's some, and that's why the timeout of Coach Tai was all about that as well. It was about blocking Calado, trying to get that one through. Campton, chance ball for Savouge. Imperial going for a combination from the back row. Louis Ramirez and Mark Calado has been firing up that back row.
Even if tatlo yung attackers na nasa harapan for Imperial, they intentionally go to that back row.
And until now, Criss Cross still doesn't have an answer to that.
I mean, look at the front line. Calado, Bugawan, De La Vega. But they still opt to give it to the back row player. But it has been super effective for the Spin Doctors. They give away a free point off that service error.
However, they still lead by 2. Criss Cross within striking distance as that serve comes from Colinares. Oh! De La Vega destroying that block.
That defense still missing from the King Crunchers. That should be the main focus of adjustment for Coach Tai.
Gampong and Narciso will be checking in for Savouge. Narciso with that serve. Villados going up to Garcia.
This is the right time to give Jude Garcia more sets on the comeback trail. Still down by 2 points. Double sub made on the side of Criss Cross. Eko Adahar and Jaron Recanton will check in to give
New
Criss
look
Cross
Jaron.
a 3-man front line.
A timeout will be called by Coach Sydney Calderon. Let's listen in.
Si Mark, nasan ka? Dito ka, di ba? Okay, sige. Basta dito kayo, ha? Bad, squeak. JP sa likod. Dito, tapos 5 sa gitna. 5 sa gitna, ha?
Hey,
let's go.
pag pangit yung set, adjust tayo. Dad, adjust ka ha. Pag sa'yo ibibigay, alam mo na yung ginagawa mo sa training.
Hey, one team!
Coach Sydney covering all bases, anticipating different scenarios. Kung hindi maganda yung naitaas sa first or the second ball, you just have to try your best to adjust.
There's a specific strategy and a reminder given to Mats Gampong at the tail end of that timeout. Adahar with the serve. And Narciso going to Ramirez, popped up there. They go up to Ramirez again. Read well there. Great coverage here coming from Guerrero. Calado this time finding a perfect angle.
Only a single block set up by Criss Cross. Rosafat wasn't able to assist Janner Recanton. That last play that gave Calado so many options.
A very wide opening, actually. 3-point lead for Savouge. Adahar going for that quick, but that is read well by JP Bugawan. And this 4-point lead will trigger a Thai Bundit timeout. Let's listen in to Coach Thai.
Guys, fire left line. Fire, ha?
Pasa muna tayo, ha? Guys, okay lang. Patience lang ulit tayo.
Team man, team man.
Okay, ayaw pa, ha? Oo. Let's go. Tayo, celebrate every point. Yes, mag-enjoy tayo. Sagay na, sagay na.
Criss Cross!
Coach Thai reminding the King Crunchers to choose some angles. Yun yung ibig sabihin ng left, right niya eh.
Constant reminder. Kaya kay Coach Thai sa lahat ng attackers. Na you never attack ng diretso unless it's an open block. Again, they have been outplayed.
We also heard a little of
Pagdating sa blocking.
We also heard a little of him saying that we have power. Because they do. It's just that the discarte yung hinahanap. And discarte we get from Noel Campton.
Palmendras will serve for Criss Cross.
The multi-awarded UAAP athlete. Colmendras. Tough serve, that floater. They go up to Calado from the back. Popped up there by Garcia. Chance ball for Savouge. Let's see what they'll do. Opposite side, Gampong. Read well by Garcia. Jude will fly and soar. On the other side, it is returned. Gupiteo finally gets an opening.
Both teams just trying their best to not give an easy ball or a free ball to the opposing team. 2-point lead for Savouge, and they have Luis Ramirez in the front row.
This is why it's really exciting, especially this match. Ramirez will try finding a space right in between the blockers.
The dig was there for Criss Cross, but Garcia wasn't able to control that second ball. Almendras was able to keep it in play. Mababa lang, but it was playable. Here, Austria will now serve for JP Bogawan. It's a defensive substitution now for the Spin Doctors.
Let's see if this will be effective as they are now at set point advantage. Austria, team captain to serve. Picked up by Almendras. Villados going to Garcia. Off the block. One set point saved by Criss Cross.
There will be a challenge from Savouge. Foot fault challenge.
This will be challenge for foot fault. Let's see if may stepping na tinatawag nga in the old volleyball vocabulary. Let's see.
Nope.
That is too far.
It's a clean attack from Jude Garcia.
That's just the athleticism of Jude. But this could also be a moment to ice things out for Coach Sydney, as they're 1 point away from snatching the set. If ever, this might just be the third set that Criss Cross loses. And just as I say that, There we go. It goes to the Savouge Spin Doctors. Set number 1 is awarded to the athletes in dark blue and yellow. Savouge gets set number 1. Let's see if Criss Cross will be able to bounce back, or will Savouge continue their winning ways and return here at the Spikers turf. Back here at the Philo Center in San Juan, as Savouge wins set number 1 over Criss Cross, 25-22. It was a very different Criss Cross King Crunchers that we saw in the first set. Savouge showing that they did their homework. Savouge showed that they really studied the opponent after losing in their first 2 matches against Criss Cross. This is the 3rd meeting for these 2 squads, and it seems like Savouge has their calling card already, and this is just the 3rd set that they lost, talking about Criss Cross.
A lot of sets in set number 1 went to the outside hitters of Criss Cross, and naging predictable din talaga sila. That's why they were outblocked by the Spin Doctors. Savouge had a lot of conversions dun sa back row nila. Tayo lang naman tayo when it comes to attacking. That's the least of the concerns of both teams. Pero yung net defense talaga ng Savouge ang nagdala sa kanila ng set number 1. 6 kill blocks. And that's very surprising for Criss Cross. They weren't able to tally any defensive stop against the Spin Doctors, considering the fact na mas marami pang libreng puntos ang binigay yung Savouge.
And it's going to be a question if the Spin Doctors will continue or will Criss Cross bounce back, as we have Coach Angelino Frigoni of the Alas Men's present here in our arena today. That is Sir Ogie Kadwa of also present here. Action resumes. Serve coming from Imperial. Gupiteo with a pickup. Villados set up to the back set. Garcia, who's been quite silent, makes some noise.
Criss Cross will try to loosen up the blocking system of Savouge by giving more sets to Jude Garcia.
Gupiteo with that serve. Imperial going for the combination play that works for De La Vega.
I'm excited to see the full extent of the Imperial playbook. It's one of their new plays, I guess, that short slide from Joven De La Vega.
That hit coming from Captain works.
That was practically a chance ball for Savouge, but the defense was not ready.
1 point game. Criss Cross leads. That doesn't cross for Colinares. Jill Torres will now serve for the blue and yellow shirts. Garcia makes something out of that.
Unbothered by the block of Calado and Bugawan. That was a clean hit from Jude Garcia.
They go up to De La Vega, but that is going to be out for Joven. Criss Cross now leads by 2. Jude to serve. Opens across. De La Vega now to serve. They're down by 1. Spin Doctors looking to continue what they did in the first set. Captain popped up by Ramirez. Calado through the block this time. Great recovery. We now tie the ball game at 4.
All skill sets connecting. Para dito sa Savouge Spin Doctors. Out of system play, yes, but that was a good set from Joven De La Vega. Found the right distance off the net to assist Mark Calado.
Villados going for that quick. Josefat finally joins the scoring spree.
You want to confuse the blockers of Savouge because in set number 1, alam na nila kung saan pupunta si Villados. So giving sets to Jude Garcia, giving sets to Lloyd Josefat will help you in that goal.
They go up to the opposite side. De La Vega from the back. Garcia tried to replicate reactionary digs. Ball is still alive. Calado off the hands of Villados. Imperial going to Calado again, this time through the block.
As long as Calado or Ramirez sees that gap between the blockers of Criss Cross, alam mo na, automatic, they would go for power.
Tied at 5. That serve coming from Calado. Bump set going to Gupiteo. Popped up there, but it's going to shank away from the court. That's going to be a point for Criss Cross.
Gupiteo also wants to get better touches here in the second set because he was thoroughly checked by the defense of the Spin Doctors in set number 1.
1 point lead for Criss Cross. What a hit coming from Calado. Going for the vertical. Good serve coming from Bugawan. That push from Colinares. Ramirez cross-court, popped up with Gupiteo. Oh, Imperial joining on the scoring. Set up, going for that quick. Jill's too wide.
Imperial wanted to speed things up. Masyado nang nanggigil si Torres. Ang bilis ng reaction time ng defenders ng Criss Cross and Savouge.
It's a 1 point game this time, Neil. Criss Cross trying to take control back of this game, trying to get the momentum to swing to their favor. Oh, Imperial finds a spot, tying things at 7.
Wants to join the scoring fray, of course. That's the reason why he's the first setter in this matchup. He has shared that role with Narciso in the entire preliminary round.
Very aggressive setter. That and a very good server as well. Savouge gets into the first technical timeout. We'll be back after this quick break.
Back inside the Phil Oil Eco Oil Center in San Juan for the 2026 Spikers Surf Open Conference, the semifinals. Sinjin Neil back to school daw ang Criss Cross King Crunchers these past few days. Kung ang Savouge Spin Doctors straight to training, ang King Crunchers puro homework daw kwento sa akin ni Jude Garcia. In order to prepare for this crucial matchup, Coach Tsai Bandit gave his squad a player each day to study because with this level of competition the men in yellow shirts are playing, they know they can't underestimate them. And beyond facing the Spin Doctors, palagi nilang bit-bit yung mindset na kaya silang talunin ng kahit sinong team. So might as well come prepared, set the pace, and put that trust to one another. Back to you, Sinjin and Neil.
Thank you so much, Denise. They drop their third set of this conference so far. So that is a very great point. And that is very unsurprising knowing Coach Dai Bundit. This is a coach who makes you do homework and who makes you do scouting. And scouting is the responsibility of every player, not just of any single person. That is very typical of a Coach Dai Bundit system. But what is very not typical is what is happening to Criss Cross. You'd expect that they'll take full control of this game, but it seems like it was Savouge who has done a lot of homework, Neil.
Their center already has 5 points of 2 attacks, 2 blocks, and 1 ace. So across the skill categories na kaya niyang pumuntos, nakokontrol niya, but Criss Cross will get the point back to tie things up at 9.
And it seems like coaching staff of Savouge really studied Criss Cross. Calado off the hands of Jose Fat. Campton will try. From the back, Ramirez read well by Villados. They go up to an off-speed hit from Campton. On the other side, Ramirez from the back kept alive there. Marmento sets up De La Vega. Oh, ball is still alive, but they're unable to keep it in play.
Might be the start for Criss Cross. You were pointing out that their blocking really needs to come alive if they want to equalize here in set number 2.
Look at that.
That's the first kill block of Criss Cross.
And that is crazy considering that this is a team that is #1 in blocking. Criss Cross leads by 2. Coach Sydney will burn her first time out.
Tayo, kung kunin nyo na yung bola.
Sorry, Marico.
Nagrarally naman tayo, nakaka-depensa tayo, nakaka-block tayo. Ano na lang, siguro konting push pa tayo sa patay ng bola. Maganda yung ano natin, execution, di sila masyado nakaka-depensa. So maintain lang natin kung anong meron tayo. Guys, alam nyo kung anong advantage natin today, gawin natin.
Okay, let's go.
Tara.
Anong advantage yun, Coach Sydney? That's what Coach Sydney, it seems like in her pep talk, she has a specific advantage that they have over Criss Cross. Looking at skills, their biggest advantage should be serving. Because Criss Cross leads all the other categories. However, after the timeout, that's something that you don't want to see.
That ball hit Antana first before it hit the hands of the blockers of Criss Cross. So that's a point for the King Crunchers. Tables have turned in the midpoint of set number 2. Criss Cross is now holding on to their own 3-point lead. Defense now clicking for the white shirts.
That hit coming from Campton will find the line. That's going to be a point for Criss Cross. This now balloons to a 4-point lead.
Rescues continue to plague Savouge. They're looking for one good stop. Dahil mag-iiba yung game pag confident na yung Criss Cross as a team.
However, someone who hasn't been losing confidence is Jill Torres with a back quick hit. Back to a 3-point deficit for Savouge. Torres for the serve. Pick up there by Campton. Villados set up to Jude. Off the blockers was Jude Garcia.
Six points now for Jude Garcia. Taas doon ng bola. That's the full block reach of Bugawan, pero sa upper half of the hand pa tumama.
Well,
Ganun kataas yung contact point ni Jude Garcia. Overpass.
Kung may elevation ka din tulad ni Jude, bakit nga naman hindi? Captain! This time off the hands of Marmento.
Single block. Not enough to stop that Noel Campton hit. That's why coaches would always tell the setters to go for jump sets. Kasi pag jump set, mas mahirap basahin.
Hindi mo mabasa eh. You could pivot it any way you want. Garcia to serve. Oh, tough serve.
Criss Cross is coming alive on the service line. They're the number 3 serving team, but in this set, they're out-serving the Spin Doctors.
Well, that has been the theme of the day. It seems like you will outskill the number 1 in that skill category. Let's listen. Let's go on to this technical timeout.
Spiking ni Kuya Brian. Receiving is Josh Ibanez. Leading Menard Guerrero. Blocking Kim Malabunga. Service Jude Garcia. Setting Adi Villados. This is my perfect Spikers Turf player.
We're back here inside the Philo Center in San Juan. The UAP Season 88 volleyball is in full swing. Watch the games every Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday on the Pilipinas Live app. Also available on the UAP Marketing channel and on One Sports, because legends start here. Back to the ballgame, Neil. Speaking of UAP legends, that is one, the one that was serving Jude Garcia. And Joven de la Vega hits that ball out. That's going to be a point for Criss Cross. This is something that you don't want to give to a waking up Criss Cross. This is not the full potential of Criss Cross yet, but you can't give them those freebies.
This lead has ballooned to 7. The blink of an eye. Reception. Woes continue. On the side of the Savouge Spin Doctors, that's an 8-point lead built by Criss Cross. Di man nila makuha yung punto sa blocking sa ngayon, they'll get it through their services.
And that is weird because they are out-serving the team that ranks #1 in serving. Jude for another serve. Another tough serve. Popped up by Calado. Villados set up to Campton. Calado bump set. Joven gives up a free or a chance ball. Oh, triple block against Campton. He is denied.
No entry, says the 3-man wall of Savouge. Pag out of system play yung Criss Cross, automatic 3-man block lagi ang nakaharap sa outside hitter ng Criss Cross. Double sub for Coach Sidney. And Narciso and Campong will check in for De La Vega and Imperial.
There's a 7-point deficit here that Narciso and Gampong have to go through just to tie things over. Let's see if they'll be able to do that. Villados going up for the quick! Ganda.
That is outside. Free point for the Spin Doctors.
Good intention though. Very, very good intention. Sayang for Criss Cross. Lucky point for Savouge. So down to a 6-point lead this time, bumawi.
Now we see the balance in the setting of Adi Villados from a lot of sets na napupunta sa left side.
Yeah.
Yan, everybody eats in the table. He started by going to reverse setting, giving Jude Garcia his opportunities to score. But now, yung mga middles naman, ang binibigyan ni Villados.
Well fed this time. Very different from what happened in the first set. However, on the other side, Calado just firing it through back to a 6-point gap.
So may extra spring yung sapatos ni Mark Calado when he goes for an approach.
Air Calado.
Ano eh, ang taas ng talon.
Ano yan? Product of FEU yan. Ibang level of strength and conditioning all the time.
Tatak FEU.
Yeah.
I mean, FEU is always very athletic when it
Yes.
comes to...
I mean, look at the FEU players on court. Jude Garcia, Mark Calado. Both with very high leaping abilities as Villado sets us up to Jude Garcia on cue.
That's a requirement if you're part of the FEU program. You have to be able to jump really high.
You don't have to be the tallest. You just have to be very, 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 very athletic. 6-point lead. Josefat to serve. 5 points under his name. Narciso adjusts. Chance ball for Criss Cross. Let's see what the King Crunchers will do. Villados going to the quick. That works for Paul Colinares.
Xavi Caritativo will now replace Mark Calado. City is looking to find renewed energy here in the tail end of set number 2 because her team is down by 7.
And that has ballooned. That was just 3 earlier that they maintained. Criss Cross slowly building up, and Savouge answers with Louis Ramirez.
There was no chance for Criss Cross to get to that ball of Louis Ramirez. No defender there in zone 1.
Bugawan with it serve. Villados setting this up to Colinares, and that works for Criss Cross. Back to a 7-point lead.
Sets in the middle just keep on coming for the King Crunchers. Timeout will be called by Coach Sidney.
Ano lang, siguro bago natin tapusin yung second set, patunayan lang natin na kaya nating lumaban. Dikit pa natin yan ng onte. Kayang-kaya nyo guys, maniwala kayo. Receive lang tayo. Talagang wala na silang choice. Didiinan na talaga yung yung service nila. Let's go! Action, everyone here!
Coach Sidney validating her squad, reminding them of their abilities, reminding them that they won that first set. A 7-point deficit for the blue and yellow shirts.
We've already seen that in the first 2 rounds ng preliminaries. Kaya naman talaga manalo ng Savouge. They have won sets against Criss Cross. They've kept it close throughout those matches.
Gilles on that B-quick.
Quick side out. Good point for the double sub. Balikan si De La Vega and Imperial. Still down by 6.
But this is a delicate moment for Savouge because Criss Cross is just 3 points away from closing this out. And you don't want to see a King Cruncher squad that's fired up. Points like that would boost your confidence.
One-on-one, Louis Ramirez getting that killed block against Jude Garcia.
Look at this again. That deserves a second look. My golly. But an easy answer galing kay Gupiteo.
He has found his rhythm here in the second set. Adjusting his angles, asking for sets also off the net para makadiskarte siya.
6-point lead still. 2 points away from snatching the set is Criss Cross. The block coming from Garcia. Ramirez will try this time. Garcia! Just enough extension for that one.
They exchange kill blocks. Kaya yun yung matchup talaga na inaabangan natin. Both on offense and defense, they can
do wonders.
deal killer blows to each other.
Torres, though, has an answer, saving 1 set point.
Textbook quick attack. That's the tempo. That's the right tempo, I mean, for quick attacks. Kanina pa nagagamit ng Savouge yun. They have to play flawless from this point on because they're still down by 6.
Ramirez with that serve. Pepito with a pickup. They go with a push from Colinares. Popped up there by Dionis. De La Vega saves another set point.
Coaching staff has been giving instructions to Joven De La Vega na wag niyang masyadong i-target yung line from that zone kasi ang liit na lang nung margin of error if you're going to target the line. So he has a lot of space sa cross-court angle to work with. He can go zone 1, zone 6.
However, that serve from Ramirez goes out. Coach Sidney washes it off. And we head on over to set number 3. We have a game, folks. It's 1 set apiece for these 2 squads. We'll be back here at the Spikers Turf Open Conference.
Welcome back to the 2026 Spikers Turf Open Conference. We're still live here at the Phil Oil Eco Oil Center in San Juan. And beside me, Assistant Coach Maki Carino of the Savouge Spin Doctors. Good afternoon, Coach Maki. Coach Maki, very explosive set 1 coming from the Savouge Spin Doctors. Pag-usapan natin yun. Ano yung naging mindset nyo nung simulang yun?
Actually, yung nag-stick lang kami nung kung ano yung plano namin for the past 1.5 week nung preparation namin for this game. Kasi nung past 2 games namin, towards them is medyo pangit yung performance namin. May kontikin lang kaming adjustment na nagdedepende kung ano yung pass namin.
Yes, and Coach Sidney was also mentioning about this certain advantage daw, no? Nung huddle, ano itong tinutukoy niyo nito?
Yung positioning. Kasi may mga certain positions yung kalaban namin which yun nagiging advantage on us. Kaya dapat maganda yung pasa namin para ma-execute namin yung strength at saka yung place namin na kung sino yung nasa harap ng spike ng blockers sa kabila.
And we'd love to see that advantage, Coach Maki. More from Team Savouge Spin Doctors, but before that, balik muna namin sa inyo.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Great to know they're talking about that man-to-man advantage as well from Coach Maki. As we look back at set number 2, we have 1 set each. We saw how Criss Cross can creep into snatching a set away from you. They don't do it aggressively. They do it with such elegance, I would say. Simple lang. Walang ginawang kakaiba ang Criss Cross. But they were able to snatch that with a 6-point lead.
We were looking for the numbers of Criss Cross in the blocking department dahil wala yun nung set number 1. But they were able to get a couple of kill blocks in set number 2 to give them more confidence. They out-attacked Savouge also, having 14 attacks compared to the 12 of the Spin Doctors. But the biggest advantage that Criss Cross had in set number 2 was their serving. They continuously targeted the outside hitters of Savouge, forcing them to commit 3 shank passes to give them aces in that set. Now we're tied at 1 set apiece. It's nice to see the unforced errors at a minimum, only 6 and 4. Yung mga naibibigay naman na free points to the other teams. But all others, ticket pa din naman.
Just a quick reminder to everyone, the 2026 MPTC Tour of Luzon is back, bigger, bolder, and tougher than ever. Local and international cyclists face a grueling 14-stage battle across 13 provinces and 5 regions. A 1,800 or an 1,800-kilometer test of endurance, speed, and strategy. Don't miss a single moment. Catch all the action live on the Pilipinas Live app, also on One Sports and on One Sports Plus. Grabe yung Pilipinas Live app na yan. Nino, lahat nandyan.
It's volleyball mania.
Volleyball
the past few
mania.
days.
Not just volleyball, lahat ng sports, pati cycling nandyan. And it's volleyball overstimulation right now. Concurrently, there's a UAP game happening. Both games in here in the men's club level and in the women's collegiate are very exciting matches from top contenders. From the back, Campton, Imperial, going up to Calado. Oh, we were looking for rallies. Now we're starting to see it. Imperial going for that quick to Torres. Ball is still alive. Menard tinulak papasok ng coaching staff. Menard with that first ball. Villadas going to Gupiteo. And that is going to sail out. Okay.
That hit had enough power to get it out of bounds. But pagdating sa mga long rallies, sometimes it's hard to control the power and the hits of your opponent. As long as you keep that ball alive at maibalik mo yun sa kabilang side ng court, you get a chance to defend the net. And that's what they wanted. They were able to defend the floor, kaya naka-atake sila ng naka-atake.
Parang kailangan ko na mag-endurance training sa haba ng rally kanina, but right now, it's going to be shorter as Savouge Spin Doctors are able to change things up. Let's look at that again. There you go. Simple lang. Looking here at the side, you just can't see how deep the bench of Criss Cross is. Gupiteo.
Grabe rin yung bounce back ni Alche Gupiteo after that first set. Hindi pa siya masyadong na-check ng blockers ng Savouge.
Gupiteo with that serve. Well, he's been playing a crucial role here for Coach Tai Butit.
Calado will score his first point of the set rather. Eight points for Calado.
Jill Stars now to serve. They go up to Jude Garcia. Things are starting to heat up here. One-point lead for Criss Cross. So coming from Colinares on the other side. Calado is denied.
As long as they get their numbers dun sa defensive skill categories, they will have a big chance to establish another lead against the Savouge Spin Doctors.
Imperial trying to figure this one out. He gets that off the block, talking about Joven de la Vega. One-point game. Savouge with a deficit. De la Vega with that serve. Pepito with that pickup. They go up to Captain. Captain closes things off.
Both setters are playing the game of their life. Kasi talagang they're setting up their attackers for success, giving them a lot of single blocks. Pag single block, halos automatic point na yun for their squad.
Especially with a game in this level of intensity and speed, Imperial will choose a back row attack coming from Ramirez. On the other side, Garcia will go for a swing. Imperial going to De La Vega this time. Over Doug, but with a push coming from Villados. Double contact being asked by Coach Tai. However, that ends. That rally ends. There's going to be a challenge here called by Coach Sydney for antenna touch.
That's a surprising challenge from Savouge. Calado misread that ball. Last second, binaban niya yung kamay niya because he thought that Criss Cross was about to go for a swipe. Pero pumasok yung bola dun sa block niya.
So we'll see if there's a net infraction, or there's an antenna touch rather. Coach Sydney, of course, on the sidelines. Was there an antenna touch? Wala.
They will lose a challenge opportunity here in set number 3. Now a 3-point lead for the King Crunchers.
Criss Cross starting to build a lead back. That's going to be out for Jude. Two-point lead for Criss Cross still. Calado on the deck. Villados going up to Canton. 3-point lead for Criss Cross. Campton now serves for the King Crunchers. Oh, tough serve. Imperial from the ground, going up to De La Vega. Adjustment coming from Campton. Guerrero will give up a chance. Ball, Imperial going for the jump set, but this time, Lloyd Josefat has that number written on his hands. Second at again. Kanina, hindi nababasa itong combination na to, but this time, Josefat read that very well to the celebration of Coach Tai Budit. We'll be back here at the Spikers Turf.
Welcome back, volleyball fans. Set 3 of this semifinals match between the Savouge Spin Doctors and the Criss Cross King Crunchers. Sinjin and Neil talk about these two reliable middle blockers of the Savouge Spin Doctors, Gilles Torres and JP Bugawan, who made that instant connection. The 4-time best middle blocker, JP Bugawan, speaked very highly of Gilles' maturity. JP would enter the Terraflex knowing how to handle his frustrations by moving forward, something he instilled to the younger middle blocker. At kung may dapat daw tandaan si Gilles, that's the idea that he's not alone and they have each other's back. And so along the way, mas tumataas yung confidence ni Gilles together with his squad. Back to you.
It's really about paying it forward here in the game of volleyball. A veteran will always be teaching a young gun, and that story carries on throughout across teams. Each team would have that brotherhood story. Go ahead, Neil.
Ang ganda rin ng palitan ng libero dito for Criss Cross. Menard Guerrero getting a lot of excellent digs against the attackers of Savouge. Now they continue to score off their serves.
Which is very, very weird considering that serving is not their best skill. Timeout will be called by Coach Sydney Calderon.
Natin, talagang didiinan na nila yung service pag lamang sila. Ganon kasi yung tempo nila. Pag lumamang sila, talagang sugal na service. So tayo, kung susugal sila ng service, di dapat mas maging ready tayo sa ano. Di na natin pipilitin na kailangan maganda yung angat natin. Dahan-dahanin lang natin, basta umangat lang yan. Discarte tayo sa ano, ha? Guys, tsagaan lang, tsagaan.
One stop nyo lang muna.
Simple reminders there from Coach Sydney. We also observed the same thing. Pag may lamang na yung Criss Cross, they go all out on the service line kasi meron silang cushion kahit papano, even if they make a couple of mistakes on the service line. Okay lang, that's why they're trying their best to use that as their first point of attack. As long as the ball is settable, okay na yun for Coach Sydney.
Again, you're not looking for an A pass all the time. We heard that from Gia de Guzman, of course, the national team setter in one of her coverages. If you have that mindset, you'll be a better setter. 5-point deficit for Savouge. Bugawan with that serve. They go up to Jude Garcia, popped up there by JP. De La Vega trying to stop the bleeding.
That's the good thing about the composition of the lineup also of Savouge this conference. Sometimes when the front line is not as effective as they want it to be, ang daming options in the back row. Looking at the back row attackers right now, that's Mark Calado and Joven De La Vega. Pero Alche Gupiteo has other plans. He doesn't want to give a chance for Savouge to come back in this set.
He has been quiet in the second set, not as explosive. But let's see if he'll be able to come alive here. Caritivo checks in. Caritativo, rather. Colinares being active at front.
Overpass from Savouge. Delivered that free ball to Criss Cross. Even if it's a C pass, playable yon. Ayaw lang talaga nila ng overpass.
Because an overpass with the tall front line of Criss Cross will be a dangerous moment. Colinares will get checked with that last one. It's going to be a 5-point game, still in favor of Criss Cross.
I appreciate the effort of Popoy Colinares.
Yes.
He already knew that he was late, pero he would still try his best to get a touch out of it, pero na-exploit na siya nung attacker ng Savouge.
Pinapabawi naman ni Villados. The answer coming from De La Vega. It is returned by Criss Cross. Savouge going to Jills. It doesn't cross thanks to Popoy. Pepito with that first ball. Villados going to Garcia, who gets it off the block.
You know what? I noticed that pag napakabilis nung balikan ng bola, some players actually tend to pass that ball fast as well.
Yeah.
Pero pagdating sa mga balikan na mabilis, they have to be able to put that first ball high up in the air so that the setter can think of a way through the defense of their opponent. You let the setter speed things up. Yung first ball lagi yan steady and high.
It's about slowing down that ball, but Gopiteo is not slowing down here as he brings in a 7-point lead for Criss Cross.
Double up on Savouge. Tormento couldn't control that ball.
Seven-point lead. Villados with that serve. Ramirez is denied there. There's going to be a point for Criss Cross.
Blocking is alive and well for the King Crunchers after that slow start in set number 1.
Very different from what happened in set number 1. I think this is what they say when you wake up a sleeping giant. Be aware of what they could do. Ramirez off the blockers, but that is going to Shaq away from the court. That's going to be a point for Savouge. Savouge still down by 7. Serve now will come from the Spin Doctors. Ramirez with that serve. That push coming from Garcia will work. And this will usher in our second technical timeout. Criss Cross leads by 8. Let's just look back at Jude Garcia. 14 big points in their last match against Savouge. 11 attacks, 1 block, and 2 aces. Garcia is known to be a prolific scorer, of course. Meanwhile, top scorer for Savouge right now is Louis Ramirez. 11 points, 10 attacks, and 1 block. Look at that, the elevation. And a lot of these, Neil, were of course those back row plays that have been set up with a strategy of having the front line as the decoy. That is quite crazy, but it has been effective in that first set, and that is what we're missing here in the third.
Efficiency also dropped in attacking for the Spin Doctors. They only have a 26% success rate compared to the 55% of Criss Cross, and both teams have the same number of attempts.
And that's why they're outproducing Savouge now.
Passing is still the problem for the Spin Doctors. They're exclusively targeting Louis Ramirez and Mark Calado.
That is quite weird because receiving, they're technically ranked number 2. Right behind Criss Cross. Off the block was De La Vega.
Nice set from Guerrero.
They go to Garcia on that. On the other side, that's going to be a point for Caritativo. Let's look at that again.
Double block, no problem for Xavi Caritativo. Editing it off the hands of Popoy Colinares.
Jills with that serve, picked up by Pepito. Campton will try. It is returned to sender.
Wanted to go for a down-the-line hit or a swipe, but established na yung block ni Joven De La Vega. Nowhere to go for Noel Campton.
Serve coming from Jills. Off the block was Jude. On the other side, they go to Shawi. Picked up there by Pepito. Villadas for the back quick to Popoy. Campton will try because he was denied, but Campton is denied as well. Blocking is starting to get established again. Very similar to that first set. And a 6-point lead for Coach Ty Bundit. This will trigger his timeout. Let's listen in to Coach Ty.
Bilang. Break point lang. Bota ng break point.
May pinla!
Fly.
Kumaka na ng short ball, pre, para di ka mahirapan. Wait lang.
Okay, daan na. Wala na yun. Last na.
Ako yan. Isa yun.
Okay, isa lang muna. Babawi ka, hindi.
Babawi ako tayo.
Babawi ka, hindi. Babawi ka, hindi.
Bawi ka, hindi.
Hindi ko alam if words
Yun
of
nga eh.
encouragement yun.
Or taunting ba yun? But you're taunting your own
Yeah.
teammate.
That's how you keep their antennas up.
Ibang level of motivation ang tawag doon. But Coach Ty saying, may pinlay, no problem. Walang problema. Maliit na bagay lang kasi naman nakakabawi naman si Jude Garcia that way.
They have maintained the 7-point lead here in the third frame, preventing a Savouge comeback.
Back to a 7-point lead. Oh,
That is out though.
sayang. Wasted opportunity, but great intention from Bugawan and Imperial.
Bugawan has been manning the net really well for Coach Sydney. Already has 4 blocks.
Wow.
Pero isa pa lang yung attack point ni JP Bugawan. He has to come alive in that department.
It's very difficult when you're also up against 2 very good blockers in Popoy Colinares and Lloyd Josefat. Kaya magpalusot ng palo. 7-point lead for Criss Cross. Savouge doing that double substitution that we've been seeing since the first set. 7-point lead. Serve now coming from Narciso. Villados going up for a combination. Campton is dug. Caritativo. Napalusot. To the celebration of the Savouge Spin Doctors. You also need a player who can bring energy, not just spark by points, but also that morale inside the court.
Kaya it pays to have a deep bench kasi pwede mong i-tweak yung lineup at any point of the game. Lead is down to 5 for the King Crunchers. A lot of second stringers now on the floor for Coach Sydney. You have Mads Gampong, Hero Austria, and Narciso and Caritativo.
We're really trying to change the pace here. Meanwhile, Criss Cross still with the usual names. Jude Garcia going for a cross court, but they are not able to convert this. This is going to be a point for Savouge. Lead is trimmed down to 4. Savouge is doing this the hard way. But so far, it's working. They've trimmed the lead down to 4. Josefat recovers for Criss Cross. Jude Garcia serves now for the King Crunchers. 15 points already in this match, 12 attacks, 1 block, and 2 aces. Narciso sets this up for a combination that works for Shawi.
This is the energy that we want to see from the Savouge Spin Doctors. It's very difficult to score off the defense of Criss Cross. So pag nakapuntos ka, you have to make sure to celebrate every point.
Shawi has been bringing in that jovial disposition. Josefat, who has been the answer earlier. Shawi will try. Austria will try this time. Shawi was there for coverage. They go up to Campton. That finds the line for Noel.
That's inside. It was an ambitious set, I would say. It was a bump set towards the middle blocker. Hindi sila nag-connect. That's very tricky. You have to have impeccable ball control to be able to execute that. Dahil doon nabigyan ng chance yung Criss Cross to attack Noel Campton. Targeting zone 1, but there is a challenge from the Spin Doctors. Ball in, ball out.
Again, the challenge is ball in, ball out. This could be a lot of things. This could be a way just to ice things out, because they were starting to do a run. They've trimmed the lead down to 4. The question of ball in, ball out. It is very much clear in this footage that it is in. Momentum breaker, I guess, for Coach Sydney. She doesn't look displeased after that call. No reaction. Nicole Mendez checks in for Criss Cross. On attack points, it has been 14 in this set for the King Crunchers, 10 for Savouge. Narciso going up to Austria down the line, popped up by Garcia. Ball kept alive here. Almendras gives him a chance. Ball and Narciso going to the quick, but on a one-on-one against Lloyd Josefat. Josefat wins.
Look at that again. Great read from Lloyd Josefat. Yung mga last second waves papunta sa isang angle, yun talaga yung tumutulong sa Criss Cross to get their defensive touches. Sometimes, if fake nila, nasa isang angle sila magbablock, and then last second, papalitan nila. Hero Austria will get the point back for the Spin Doctors.
There is still a 5-point gap that they have to fulfill. just to tie this ball game. But Austria going for that cross court. Every point is a celebration for Savouge right now. Gown with that serve. Gupiteo off the hands of Narciso. He was in the wrong position.
2 points to go for Criss Cross.
Six-point lead, make that 5 after that doesn't cross for Safat. Imperial will check back in. 5-point gap. Imperial with that serve, and that is a lucky serve for Imperial.
Point is a point. They will take it. They need 4 points to tie things up here in set number 3.
4 more like this, and they would tie things over.
Swerte na.
It's different when Lady Luck is in your favor. Oh. Net infraction called against Austria.
Sayang. Sabi ni Hiro, because it was a good pickup from Diones from the back row.
Volleyball player. Nung tinawag, sabi ng second ref, sino? Siya pala. Oh! Pero magandang bawi!
Combination play for Hiro Austria.
Good
Exclamation point.
Look at that. Credit that also to the setting of Imperial. God, ang ganda. Single block na nga lang. Villanos one-handed set to Gupiteo. Read well there. Shall we? Oh! And we close set number 3. The pivot and the momentum will swing towards Criss Cross as they get an advantage entering to set number 4. Let's look back at that last play, that block by the rookies. I would call them rookies from USD and FEU. 2 sets up to 1 of Savouge. Criss Cross leads. We'll be back at the Spikers stage. Back here inside the Pillow Center in San Juan. 2 sets to 1 in favor of Criss Cross after that second set. That sleeping giant that is Criss Cross woke up and decided to take full control of the third set.
That was the best blocking set of Criss Cross. Highest output so far in this game. The serving continued for the King Crunchers. Nahirapan pa rin yung Savouge to get those first balls. They were also able to limit the production of Louis Ramirez and Mark Calado. So Coach Sydney tried her best to shuffle her lineup to 3 players, rather in double digits for Criss Cross. Garcia with 15, Campton with 12, and Gupiteo with 11. For Savouge, it's only Louis Ramirez that has a double-digit performance with 11. 5 kill blocks for Criss Cross, and now they even have more attack points compared to the Spin Doctors.
We have to look back at our tournament format, just to remind everyone, it is a single round robin semifinal. So this is the third time that these 4 squads will be facing each other. The top 2 teams will enter the championship, and rank number 3 and rank number 4 will enter the battle for third. Finals, championship, and battle for third will be best of 3 series. And just like any Sports Vision initiated league, if the finals will end in 2 games, the battle for third will be decided, and the battle for third is 1-1. It will be decided via a quotient system. We now enter set number 4, a territory where it is make it or go home with a loss for Savouge. Meanwhile, a moment to test and question the eagerness of Criss Cross to prove their dominance. They just lost their 3rd set overall in this competition. Imagine, Neil, after playing 32 sets, they only dropped 3 so far.
Wow. Teams only have 3 games to play here in the semifinals round. Yeah, every win can make or break their run to the gold medal match.
As of now, they've played a total of 35, and out of those 35, they lost 3 only. So 32 sets. What a performance for Criss Cross. Shawi to serve. Campton.
Good adjustment from Noel Campton kanina nung tail end ng set number 3. He was checked by Bogawan. Now he was able to find a different angle, get it past the defense of Savouge.
Culinaris with that serve. Ramirez trying to find a spot down the line, and he does.
For Louis Ramirez naman, I think he just really needs to focus on passing kasi pupuntos at pupuntos siya. Regardless kung in-system or broken play for Savouge, there's no question about it. But when they start to commit those shank passes, that's the time na lumalayo yung Criss Cross.
And they can't do that, keep doing that rather. Torres to serve for Savouge. Bump set going to Campton. He's denied. Blocking still established for Savouge. Oh, but Jude Garcia is going fast, but that is going out. They're going to call for a challenge for this one, are they? Out daw? Wala daw? It's the players who actually contested the challenge. Gil Torres continues to serve. Savouge leads by 2. Capiteo with that first ball. They go up to Jude Garcia. This time, he checks that in.
No challenge from the Spin Doctors. Everybody saw it.
Great serve. Shawi from the back, but that is going out.
Now tied at 4.
Solid serve. Imperial will set this one up. They go up to Ramirez, who is denied single-handedly by Josephat.
A former teammate din. So,
Yeah.
alam na alam niya yung favorite angles ni Louis Ramirez. He's been getting a lot of kill blocks.
Yeah.
Kahit single block. Again, that wave.
Look at that.
Towards
At saka
zone 1.
naka-establish na siya to cover zone 1 to prevent that entry, even if Ramirez is still not in the air. challenge will be called here by Coach Tai Bundit, who signals big box. Ball in, ball out. Ball in, ball out. Challenge tied at 5 currently. As we await the resolution of this challenge for ball in, ball out. We're waiting for the official call of the referee. Here we go. For ball in, ball out. It is in. Successful challenge for Coach Tai.
Official score is
Kota.
6-4 in favor of the King Crunchers.
Mas chill si Coach Tai na ngayon. He has evolved. That is going in for De La Vega.
Corner pocket is good for Joven De La Vega. Those are the zones na mahirap talaga depensahan, lalo pag dulong-dulo, because when the defender is trying to get a dig, kadalasan above the shoulder dumadaan yung bola eh. So, 50-50 call. It can catch the line, pwede rin lumabas.
Depende, minsan nagda-drop kasi last minute. Captain dug there by Savouge. Savouge giving up a chance ball. Pepito with that pickup. Villados going to Campton with that push right behind the blockers. Scramble at the side of Savouge. Josefat tipping that over. De La Vega unable to put that across. They're going to challenge this for block touch. Again, the challenge is block touch.
A lot of violent reactions from Criss Cross.
Just when I said that Coach Tai is starting to look chill, hindi siya chill that moment.
Blocking instructions given by Coach Tai.
He has been very particular about blocking since earlier, huh? Consistent with the reminders on how to block properly. As Coach Tai here on the sidelines giving some reminders, minute corrections. The perfectionist that he is, asking for a block touch. There is no block touch in that sequence. Now we see animated Coach Tai. Sabi niya, mataas lang yung block reach ng player ko. Pero walang block
Lampas
touch
na yung
doon.
ulo ni Loyo Zafat dun sa ibabaw ng net.
Natatawa na lang din si Coach Cindy. I'm very excited to see the matchup of these two on May 1 in Candon City for the Volleyball All-Star Showcase, because that Spikers Turf All-Star will be extra entertaining for all of us thanks to these coaches as well. That is going wide. That is going to be a point for Criss Cross. We'll be back after this first technical timeout.
back inside the Phil Oil Arena in San Juan for the 2026 Spikers Turf Open Conference Semifinals. Sinjin, Neil, you know, the Criss Cross King Crunchers, they really don't find themselves pushed to a fourth spot. But when they do, they know how to respond. And they've been tested before. And once again, they're being challenged. In moments like this, floorball captain Adi Vallados told me they lean on the presence of head coach Ty Bundit. Because more than a coach, a father figure. And for this team, disappointing him is simply not an option. And Coach Ty takes the responsibility on himself. And in return, his players carry that winning mindset and composure on the floor. Now they're locked in, focused on closing this one out and keeping their flawless run alive. Back to set four.
Thank you so much, Denise. We're very familiar with that father figure that Coach Ty is. We're starting to enjoy actually to see his variation in the men's and in the women's. I heard it's all cariño brutal here in the men's. I would hear from a lot of the King Crunchers how hard training is. Nangayayat nga silang lahat. Mukha nga silang nagpa-buccal fat removal lahat sa Savouge. Sa side ng Criss Cross.
Looking fresh.
Naniyot silang lahat sa grabe daw ng intensity of the training. But, you know, a lot of the players mention what they really enjoy with Coach Ty is how professional the system is. Training is training, outside training, bahala ka sa buhay mo.
But not the intensity training.
Yeah. But papatayin ka daw talaga sa training ni Coach Ty Bundit. But that's unsurprising. I've seen that firsthand. You're also very familiar with that, Neil, from hearsay.
Yeah.
So now it's a 2-point lead for Criss Cross. But this new facet is that you don't want to disappoint your father, your dad in Criss Cross. And seemingly so, they have that utmost respect for Coach Ty.
On the other hand, you have Shawi Caritativo scoring at will.
Oh, this one is unfazed for Savouge. He has been in Savouge stalwart and showing up as the spark plug for Savouge. Shawi will try again. Kept alive. Really challenging Criss Cross. Imperial will go to the quick. Left-hand push from Torres. They go up to De La Vega. That goes through. Colinares pops that one up. Gupiteo will go down the line.
That is in, says the line's judge, and Savouge agrees.
That checks in. They're still maintaining it within striking distance. Talking about Savouge, this is just a 2-point game.
Still close, manageable for Savouge, but they can trade points with Criss Cross.
2-point lead for the King Crunchers. Imperial going to the quick. That works. That serve coming from Imperial. An answer coming from Jude Garcia. Criss Cross maintaining the 2-point distance. But you just need two to close this out. Cupiteo will be serving for the King Crunchers. Pick up there by Shawi. Imperial going to Shawi. Receive mo. Palu mo.
Coach Sidney now able to move the pieces of Savouge. Kaya maganda that she has versatile attackers in Mark Calado na kayang mag-switch from being an outside hitter to an opposite.
Oh, that doesn't cross for Shawi.
Those errors will not help Savouge extend this match to a 5th. They're down by 2.
I mean, you want to start the semis with a good fight. You want to bring Criss Cross to a 5th set as well. You haven't done that. First meeting, it was 3 sets. Second meeting, it was 4. This is the second time that Criss Cross has dropped a first set. So, bringing them to a 5th will be a first also.
Now, this is the strongest front line for the Spin Doctors. JP Bogawan, Mark Calado, and Louie Ramirez. Louie Ramirez able to increase his efficiency kasi from 58% nung set 1, bumaba ng 17 at 25 nung set number 2 and 3, but now he's at 33%.
But still, that's still very low in terms of attempts at the moment. I think his attempts right now is still at 3. It doesn't cross for Jude.
Criss Cross is giving Savouge an opportunity to tie things up. So it's time for Savouge to capitalize on that by getting more defensive touches. They have to remember how they performed in set number 1.
The question is, will they be able to capitalize? Campton with that push. Imperial going for that quick. Nalansi.
He sold that so well.
Yeah.
Looked like he was going to go for a 1-2 play. Last second, dish that set to JP Bogawan.
Jose Fat was fished right there. Look at that. Rather, Campton was fished right there. Calado with that serve. Tied at 13. Campton going cross court. They go to the other side to Calado, who gives the advantage to Savouge.
Net fault will be called on the King Crunchers. Lead is now with the Spin Doctors.
Hey, dahan. Dahan ulit, wash. Sa palang yan, ha? Frustrate. Oo.
Not high, ah.
Tayo sa ikot lang, tayo.
Siyempre,
Wash.
Ha?
Kailangan lang mo natin makapasa ng isa, tapos patay kuya sa. Let's go tayo, ha?
All the time. Oh, be, happy, be. Ha?
Huwag nabigyan ng momentum yung kalaban, ha?
Go lang, silang.
Huwag lang manggigigil, lahat cover tayo pag may papalo, ha? Let's go! Let's go!
It's also helpful when there's a language barrier and you have players who are very, very vocal.
1-1 to compete in a 5th set match. Dahil pwedeng makuha ng Savouge yung panalo.
Criss Cross recovers and ties it again at 14.
Nicole Mendras will replace Noel Campton in the back row.
Goes to become a service specialist. Serve from Almendra, set up, going to Ramirez. That is going to sail out.
And errors might just dictate the result of this set. Lalo na napaka-dikit ng score. Only a 1-point advantage for the King Crunchers.
Serve coming from Almendras. They go for a quick Bugawan. Is denied. Ramirez off the blockers. There's a challenge here.
Yeah. Net fault. Challenge from Savouge.
Challenge was for net fault.
It's a mid-point rally. So a point will be awarded to one of the teams.
Well, if not, the point was supposed to be awarded to Criss Cross already. So let's see if this will work in favor. Kumbaga, it's a gamble already for Coach Sydney.
Yeah,
either way.
it's a clear net violation from Villados.
And the gamble gets rewards for Coach Sydney and her squad. Tied at 15. Explanation here coming from first referee. Reminder is liaised through Shawi to Coach Sydney. Successful challenge still for Coach Sydney. Ball game is tied at 15. Piteo down the line. Bump set, going to Shawi. Shawi popped up there, kept alive by Pepito. Chance ball Savouge. Let's see what they'll do. Bump set, going to the back row, that doesn't cross. Point Criss Cross.
I don't think there was a block touch last play, but there was also no coverage behind Mark Calado. So we will head into our second technical timeout with Criss Cross up by 1.
We're back here inside the Phil Oil Center in San Juan. The Volleyball All-Star Showcase showing for PVL and for Spikers Turf in Candon City Arena on May 1, 2026. Will be having its starters reveal on Monday, April 13, and the reserves reveal on April 20. Now, you can join the voting because voting is still open until April 11 for Team Power and Team Passion. 7 starters can be elected by the fans. Just go to spikersturf.ph. Or you can also vote through pvl.ph/allstar. Both these leagues have the same voting. I've tried it. When you vote for the whole slate from Team Heart and Hustle for PVL All-Star and Team Power and Passion for Spikers. Have you voted, Neil?
Of course. Only voting.
Only voting. Meron pang chismis na meron pang vote buying. Kakaiba. This is a different level of voting. But go ahead, folks. Enjoy voting for your favorite stars if you want to watch more action like this. Just like what Shawi Caritativo just did. You want to see more of Shawi? Vote for Shawi.
Spark plug of Savouge. Good things happened when he was injected to that starting unit by Coach Sydney. We're now tied at 16. Might be the closest set we've played so far.
That serve coming from Bugawa. They go up to Garcia off the block for Jude Garcia. 1-point game. Tight moments. Tensions running high as we look at the Jude Garcia hit again. Off the block.
They're forced to go to out-of-system plays. Kitang-kita mo yung mata ni Adi Villados. Nakatingin na kay Jude Garcia. Shawi Caritativo continues to score for Coach Sydney to tie things up at 17. It's a race to 8.
Look at that again. Shawi just getting that one through. Oh boy, will this be the first 5-setter of Criss Cross? We'll find out. Jude Garcia says, nope.
How will you be able to stop Jude Garcia when he's high up in the air?
Look at that again. Garcia, full swing right in the alleyway between the seam of the blocker and the antenna.
Yes.
Gupiteo with that serve. Imperial going for that combination to Shawi, but that is going wide. No check, says Shawi. 2-point lead for Criss Cross. This could be pivotal.
As I said, it will boil down to those unforced errors. Teams have to work for the points. They can't rely on the free points given by the other team. Timeout Savouge.
Yung passing natin. So, wala akong ibang sasabihin. Kailangan lang natin ayusin yung execution. Usap muna kayo. Kayo muna lang tayo. Let's go! Tawa-tawa lang! Let's go! Let's go.
Icing things out was Coach Sydney Calderon. Two-point game in favor of Criss Cross. That hit coming from Calado on the other side. Villados Oh, Garcia under the ball, no check. They're looking for a check here. No challenge, no challenge for Criss Cross. Nope. June says, wala, akin yun.
They don't want to waste any challenge opportunity. They might need it later on.
It's gonna be very crucial if it's this close, Neil. That serve coming from Shawi. They go for it. Oh, one-on-one Torres succeeds over Colinares.
Napatayo na si Coach Sydney. She knows that this is a winnable set. She wants to force that fifth against Coach Tai.
Well, historically, the two sets that were dropped by Criss Cross, one was against Savouge, and that was the first one actually was against the Event Masters. That was the first set, and then the other one was against Savouge in the third set. Timeout will be called here. Let's listen in to Coach Tai Budit.
Yung bola nasa dulo siya, bumababa yung bola. So, ano tayo ng konti ha? Lapit. Ibabawin.
Wala.
Receive lang tayo ha. Receive tayo. Okay lang. Let's go guys! Let's go! Happy! Let's go.
We didn't hear much from Coach Tai Budit. We heard a lot from all the players. It's team coaching for Criss Cross. And rightfully so. You know that they are locked in this semifinals. Everyone contributing with the scouting. As reported by Denise earlier. Garcia gets that one through, tying the ball game at 20.
Na, matira matibay. 20 all. 5 points to force a decider. 5 points to close the match. Femi Bagalay making his first appearance here in this match as a service specialist for Coach Tai.
Femi to serve. Floater, Imperial, one-handed set going to Calado. Ball is still alive. Nope, it went to the airspace of Savouge. The Spin Doctors are starting to feel it from the sidelines. You're hearing some chants.
Now that they're up by 1 point, they have to go all out in attacking. They can't afford to play it safe. Hindi rin pwedeng masyadong magaan yung mga swings na gagawin nila.
You can't be complacent. Garcia going cross-court. Tied at 21.
He's always reliable in the end game. That's why he is the MVP. Jaron Requinton
will also check in.
Yep.
What do you think Coach Tai is doing? Is he trying to give rest to his players?
Probably, but he's been going to a lot of defensive substitutions in the tail end kasi alam niya na malakas naman yung front line. But meron pang Alche Gupiteo in the back row to go for that pipe.
And then Nico Almendez is up front. That block coming from Josefat. They go up to Calado off the hands of Menard.
All systems go for Mark Calado. Savouge is feeling it. They're up by 1.
They are. Look at them at the sidelines. You could also hear their supporters here inside the arena cheering them on. That is going to be out for Mark Calado.
Costing error for the Spin Doctors. Doesn't matter. They're tied at 22 all. And they will have the luxury of attacking first here in this next rally.
That serve coming from Almendras. Gupiteo denying that hit. Calado from the back row. Villados going to Garcia.
Check at the net. Hero Austria getting that defensive stop for the Spin Doctors.
Let's look at that again.
Oh, it's JP Bugawan actually on the assist block.
But Austria really made sure that the down was close, forcing Garcia to go cross. Austria now to serve. Picked up by Almendaz. Villados going to Gubiteo. They're denied. Blocking has been pivotal for Savouge. And a smiling Coach Sydney on the sidelines.
Isa na lang, sabi ni Coach Sydney. Started with a good float serve from Euro Austria. Forcing that out-of-system play from Criss Cross. At dahil nasa harapan na nga si JP Bugawan, they have a higher chance of getting these defensive stops against Criss Cross.
Austria with that serve. Will Savouge close this to extend? No! Gobeteo says, not yet. Savouge will call timeout. This is Coach Sydney Calderon.
Dito ko padadala yung bola. Keepin mo dito. Mark, 4 lang. 4, 5, 4. Ah, Euro, pwede ka rin sa gitna. One stop! Isang magandang pasa lang.
Kanino bola ko? Sino bola? Ayan ha.
Dito ko padadalin ha. Dito ko padadalin ha.
Guys, cover ha. Cover.
Hey, cover ha.
Mark,
All they need is one more point. Send us to a 5th. It's up to the hands of Imperial to set up a good first attack.
A very specific strategy drawn up there. 4 lang daw si Mark. And steady reminders, but it will all start from a good pass that will come from the serve coming from Lloyd. They go up to Shawi. Great coverage. Shawi will try on the second try. Off the block, and that is out! They push Criss Cross to a 5th and deciding set. Savouge does something for the very first time. That is to bring the #1 seeded team, the undefeated team, in the preliminaries to a 5th and decider. This is uncharted territories for Coach Tai Bundit and the rest of the King Crunchers. We'll find out if they'll be able to surpass this, or will Savouge snatch and give them their first loss. We'll find out the answer when we return here at the Spikers Turf. What a game it has been, folks. We are now in our 5th set. 4 exciting sets with very different stories overall. But that last set, it's what you call when things really go to your favor. They're on your favor. Savouge, everything was just working on them. You thought, some may have thought that Criss Cross was going to close that out. But Savouge just kept it steady, got the advantage, pushed themselves towards the end, and slowly but surely, they were able to close it out.
Actually, a golden opportunity for Savouge to get a big chance of entering that gold medal match. Kasi Criss Cross na lang yung hindi pa nila natatalo. They were able to beat the other semifinalists in the preliminary round. Kaya gusto nila makuha yung panalo na to. Now, it's their first 5-set match against Criss Cross. They were able to find the right pieces, find the right substitutions. Shawi Caritativo leading the way at the tail end of set number 4. And they even had more numbers in attacking and blocking compared to the King Crunchers. Criss Cross had a 2-point lead, but nawala yon because of the efforts of Savouge. Hero Austria also helped a lot in terms of reception.
And right now, this is uncharted territory for Criss Cross. They have never had a 5-setter. This is the first time for this conference. Let's see how they will respond. That is the question for the Criss Cross fans. Do they know how to work in a 5-setter? Meanwhile, for Savouge, this is a really nice sign for them. The only undefeated team in the league is now forced to a do-or-die 5-setter.
We started the day with a 5-setter. The UAAP, it's only fitting, I guess, to end it with a 5-setter. The Spikers turf. Shawi Caritativo only scored a single point in set number 3, but he scored 7 points in that 4th set. And ngayon, siya ang unang pupuntos for Savouge in the 5th.
Caritativo, Austria, these two have been great sparks to ignite this flame under the bellies of Savouge. That serve coming from Shawi. Campton through the blockers. Ball is still alive. You are seeing a very fired up Savouge team here. Austria getting that one through. Josefat bump set to Garcia. They get a last-minute touch.
This is going to be the trend here in set number 5. Teams exchanging blows.
An unsurprising seesaw battle at that. Criss Cross to serve with Campton on deck. Imperial going up to Calado. He's denied by Gopiteo. On the other side, Austria. Oh!
There's a check ball on Lloyd Josafat. You saw the trajectory of that Hero Austria hit. Yung mga bahala na going to hit it as high as possible to target the fingertips of the blockers.
Now Austria will be called. Given some reminders at sabi niya, sorry po.
Yun talaga yung sugal. Kasi sa sobrang taas ng trajectory ng bola, automatic outside yon.
Villados going for that combination to Gupiteo.
Steady hands from Adi Villados. That pass was already tight, but he was still able to save that ball to set that up.
He is one of the most nonchalant setters I've seen covering so far. He doesn't have much of a reaction. It's the same face the whole time. Reminds me of Gia de Guzman sometimes. Cross court was Mark Calado.
There's a touch on Adi Villados.
You just enjoy how happy the celebration is on the side of the Spin Doctors. Very happy bunch. Calado with that serve. Villados going to Gupiteo.
It's a battle of side outs here in the 5th set. No mini runs so far for both teams.
Really just an exchange of points. Garcia to serve, picked up there. Imperial going to Austria. Just wow.
The tandem of Hero Austria and Shawi Caritativo trying to solve the Criss Cross puzzle here in the 5th set. And these are the original starters of the Spin Doctors before they picked up the likes of Louis Ramirez.
Mark Calado. But Mark Calado's been there for a while. Gupiteo off the block this time.
No challenge from Coach Sydney. Because they were able to get a block touch on that Gupiteo hit before it went out of bounds. 4-all.
No signs of De La Vega as well returning here. Seems like Coach Sydney will ride and die with this 6 or 7 as Bugawan tallies a point here.
He's been quiet offensively, so if they can find a way to give him perfect sets, laki ng damage madidil ni Jeep Bugawan sa defense ng Criss Cross.
This is the last volleyball game of the day, and for it to extend to a 5th, this is unsurprising as Captain ties things over. Let's look at that again. The well countdown. Ayun! Slicing through the block. Colinares with that serve. Quick hit. Jills hits that.
That is outside. The block was there for Criss Cross, but they weren't able to redirect that ball towards the court of Savouge. Bilis ng reaction time din ng Shawi Caritativo. Nakaiwas siya dun sa balik ng bola. Imperial already has 22 excellent sets. Villados has 28 excellent sets, but the difference is their scoring. Imperial has 6. Villados has 1. Jude Garcia wants to take charge of his team.
Oh my, the way we're going, Neil, I'm not going to be surprised if this is going to extend beyond 15. Let's just remind our viewers, this is just a short set. This will end by the 15-point mark. But if we get a deuce, it will extend until a winner wins by 2. That's hit coming from Shawi Caritativo.
Untouched by the double block of Criss Cross. Shawi Caritativo and Hero Austria in tandem for Coach Sydney. Dahil dyan, surprisingly, nasa bench pa si Lulu Ramirez.
And Joven de la Vega, who started earlier. They go up. Jude Garcia ang sagot ng Criss Cross.
It's one thing to read the attacks of Jude Garcia. It's another thing to execute that dig. Yun naman yung maganda doon. Nandun si Diones. He saw it coming. He got the touch. But control is going to be key for them.
This match has been going on for 2 hours and a half. So the way these two teams have been playing, quality volleyball minutes for all the fans. As Calado gets that off the block, we're going to switch courts. One-point lead for Savouge. Reminders there coming from Coach Sydney towards Eden Imperial. Michael Imperial trying to steady his troops inside the court. One-point game as action continues. Jills Torres to serve. Picked up there by Pepito. They go up to Dupiteo. Denial of 2 Tamaraos blocking a Tiger.
Bugawan and Calado teaming up to reject that attack of Alche Gupiteo. Yes, they did drop the first 2 games against Criss Cross, but I think that this is the most important match so far because 1 loss will put you in a tight situation already. 2 losses might just send you to the bronze medal match.
1 loss can bring you to a moment for a playoff as well. So a lot of things could happen. Criss Cross also taking this seriously. That sweep that you did in the preliminaries would not matter if you lose a game in the semis now, given that it's a round-robin system.
Oh.
Bugawan
regains that 2-point lead for Savouge.
A pass from Marmeto straight to Imperial, allowing him to set up JP Pugawan on that quick attack. He's also unchallenged up top.
Calado now serves for Savouge.
Sa ngayon, mas marami pa ring kill blocks ang Savouge compared to Criss Cross. 14-9 in that department.
This time, Criss Cross will tool the arms of the blockers, maximizing that situation. Oh, that doesn't cross.
That's an expensive error from Jude Garcia. Savouge Aesthetics inching closer to the 15-point mark.
They are 4 points away from closing this out. Protocol is reminded to the Savouge bench. Coach Sydney reminding everyone, kalma lang.
Don't want to lose focus.
Yeah, you are 4 points away, but you cannot be complacent in front of a Criss Cross team. Gupiteo, unfazed by the triple block. They get a check. That is why. Relentless itong Criss Cross.
Alche Gupiteo is one of the top scorers of Savouge with 18 points. Top scorer is, of course, Jude Garcia.
Serve coming from Gupiteo. Imperial going to Bugawan. Coverage was there courtesy of Savouge's Austria. And that hit coming from Imperial. He has been holding that out since earlier. He would do fakes. And finally, when he does, he tools the blockers in front of him. He's recognizing the crucial moment of this game.
Adding pressure pa here in this fifth set. It's a good lead at 2.
3 points away from giving Criss Cross their first loss, but Campton says, no, we are not going home with a loss.
One of the few times that Noel Campton decides to hold back on power.
I mean, previously in his collegiate years, we would see him really variate it. Now he has been going towards power and power and power, especially here in the Spikers turf. Caritativo!
Pasok!
And it's a 2-point game. 2 points to snatch their first win against Criss Cross. 2 points to tie it for the King Crunchers.
That
Go ahead.
deserves a second look. When you're against a strong blocking team, aside from power, speed is the most important factor if you want to get through that first line.
Full front line for Savouge. And Garcia maximizes the back row. It's a 1-point game. Coach Sidney Calderon will be calling timeout. Let's listen in to Savouge.
Boy! 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 Boy, dito ka manggagaling. Takbo ka kagad dito. Chills, tutumba ka lang. Boy, iwan ka dito. Shawi, libre. Isa, one-on-one kay Jude. One-on-one kay Jude. Guys, madala lang ako ng bola rito. Madala lang ako ng bola. Para yung dalawa dito, nagkukumit yung dalawa, yung isa dito kay Shawi, ha? One stop! One stop! Okay!
Coach Sydney facilitating that one, but Coach Maki giving a tactical reminder, a big tactical instruction.
Different shades of coaching for Savouge.
Yeah.
Technical points given by Coach Mac.
Moral.
Coach Sydney naman to give those intangible na reminders na kailangan nilang mag-focus then. They have 1-point lead here in the tail end of set number 5. They're looking to get a good pass.
Let's see. Shawi Caritativo! Match point moment for Savouge! Celebrate muna with Coach Sydney bago with team.
Fast swing, fast wrist action for Shawi Caritativo.
That angle, Neil. Grabe. Thank you so much, of course, to Dick Rafi Ramano for also giving us the perfect shot to show us. Did you see how Shawi sliced that? Going obtuse.
2 match points for Savouge.
Shall we with that serve? Let's see what Criss Cross will do. Unfamiliar territory. They go to Jude Garcia.
1 match point saved. Savouge will have another chance to put this ball away. But before that, Coach Sidney will call for time.
Hey, Nang, dito ka. Jills, B. Boy, isolation. Kaya mo yan, ha? Kaya mo yan. Hindi, fake na lang to. B, tatakbo dito, Hirots, pabalik ka. Boy, single. Dito ko pa dadala yung bola, dito lang. Ha? One pass.
Again, very technical on that timeout. They have a specific ball placement dun sa first pass so that they can run that combination play. They will be using decoys in this next play to isolate the blockers of Criss Cross. But in order for them to execute the instructions of Coach Maki, kailangan muna nilang pumasa. They have 3 attackers in the front row, so that's a big advantage for the Spin Doctors.
Let's see if they'll be able to execute it. That serve coming from Campton. Imperial going up to Calado! And an upset is done by Savouge! They lost in the prelims twice against Criss Cross. But they're able to snatch this and bring Criss Cross to uncharted territories to a 5th set. Great efforts for Savouge. It took them 3 times to get a win. And an emotional Savouge team. Because this is the only team that they did not defeat in the preliminaries. And to get it at a very important time here in the semis, we have to laud the coaching, the teamwork, and the heart and passion brought out by these players donning blue and yellow.
The starters, the coaching staff, the second stringers, everybody worked together. Criss Cross really paid for that last sequence. They let go of that block.
Yes.
And that opened up a lot of zones for Mark Calado. And now they get their first win in the semifinals at the expense of the King Crunchers. 1 foot in the door already for Savouge for that gold medal match.
Meanwhile, Criss Cross back to the drawing board. They still have 2 matches here in the semis. We'll see what happens. We'll close things up when we return here at the Spikers turf.
Welcome back to the 2026 Spikers Surf Open Conference. To start our semifinals, everything is very intense here because representing the only team to beat the Criss Cross King Crunchers, we have Sherwin Caritativo. Sherwin, you had 12 points, 11 attacks, an ace, and 9 excellent receptions. What a great job. I know, hinahabol mo pa yung hininga mo right now, but everybody knew in the 3rd set, everything changed. You were the magic bunot. Ano yung nangyari nun?
Ayun, yung sabi ko naman na nawala na ng pasa kami nung 2nd and 3rd set. Kaya kailangan namin na, sabi ko, kung ipapasok man ako, magko-contribute ako sa loob ng court. Para ako kasi nakafocus ako sa labas na pag kaya kong pag pinasok ako, gagawin ko ang lahat para makaisa kami sa Criss Cross sa semifinals.
Sherwin, and you did. And right now, you guys just set the tone. You guys changed everything for this conference. Ano pa yung makikita namin from the Savouge Spin Doctors this semifinals?
Ayun, madami pa kaming paghahandaan. Magpo-focus pa din kami this semifinals kasi di pa tapos ang laban kaya kailangan namin makuha yung next game namin tsaka yung third game namin para makapasok kami sa finals.
Sherwin, of course, who would you like to thank for this very special moment for your team?
Thank you po sa Savouge, kay Madam, kay Papshi, and sa family ko na nakasupport palagi sa akin. Thank you po.
Again, thank you so much. Congratulations, our best player of the game, Sherwin Caritativo from the Savouge Spin Doctors. Back to you guys.
Congratulations, Sherwin. Thank you so much, Denise. High emotions from the side of the Savouge Spin Doctors. And contribute, he did, was Shawi Caritativo. We chose him as the player of the game because of his contribution. He may have been a late addition. He has sparked everything for the Spin Doctors. Let's look back at set 5. It was tight. Seesaw battle from the start up to point number 12. Neil?
Only scored 1 point in set number 3, but he had 7 points in set number 4, and he also led the team in set number 5. 11 out of 19 attempts, so that's a 58% attack conversion rate for Shawi Caritativo. Well-deserved win for Savouge. Again, that's their first win against the King Crunchers for Criss Cross. They have to win all the succeeding games to enter the gold medal match. But for Savouge, again, as I said, one step in the door.
Well, that is the story of this semifinals. It's all about being one step at a time. And Savouge just proved that Criss Cross is beatable. Even after being undefeated in the preliminaries. For Criss Cross, this is a challenging pose. When you're at the top of your game, there is nowhere, everyone will just be targeting you. So it's back to the drawing board, and they have the next 2 games to perfect their game again, or their game plan again. Let's look at the numbers in attacks, Neil. It is tied. It was the intangibles. It was almost a perfect set. Criss Cross just giving up 1 freebie.
Aside from the contributions of their second stringers, yung net defense talaga ng Savouge yung tumulong sa kanila. Heading into this game, Criss Cross was the best blocking team, but in this matchup, it was Savouge getting more numbers in that department.
Now on Friday, action continues as the Savouge Aesthetic Spin Doctors will be facing the AEP Capstars. Meanwhile, the Alpha Insurance team will be facing Criss Cross at the second game on Friday. That is also happening here in the PhilOil Center in San Juan. We'll see you on April 10. Thank you so much. Again, congratulations to Savouge. It has been an epic of a match closing this Volleyball Wednesday in the whole Signal family. On behalf of my partner, Neil Flores, our director, Rafi Ramano, and our game producer, Nicholas Erncho. This has been Sinjan Reyes thanking you for joining us here at the Spikers Turf. This is where power meets passion.